I'm Scott Poynton of the Tropical Forest Trust, and we work in tropical forests to help them to get better managed and so that they stay in the landscape and conserve them basically, and conserve the biodiversity that's in them and help the people that live in them have a better life.
Hi, I'm Phil Guillory. I work with the Tropical Forest Trust also, and I represent them here in North America.
A good story to tell.
Yeah, I've got a great story to tell, and it's really of the first time we took this technology into the forest. The technology that we're using it's a handheld computer, and it's got a GPS attached to the end of it. But the interesting thing about this is that the software that's in it, and basically the whole idea is that we want to be able to go into the forest, well actually let the pygmy communities that we're working with go into the forest and do the mapping themselves, so that we're not actually going in there and interpreting their sites that they want to protect, that they actually do it themselves. And the first time we did this, we took this, our handheld with the GPS technology, but the software has got icons on it, so because they can't read or write. So the software allows them with the icons to select the areas themselves that they want to map. So for example, you'll have an area that on the icons it might be a hunting area, and there's a symbol for hunting, and then it goes to the next level, the decision tree, which is could be an area where we hunt fish or crocodiles or deer, and so they can choose their areas like this. So the first time we did this, we were out in the middle of the jungle basically, and we talked them through this and said, okay, let's try. So off into the forest we went, and we walked for a couple of hours, and of course this was amazing in itself. Here are these pygmy communities, hunter-gatherers, walking through the forest essentially with a handheld computer, like a Game Boy in fact, and they're going, oh, this is pretty good. And let's map a tree here. This is a tree where we collect caterpillars in the dry season. We don't want that cut down. And here's an area where we have our tombs, so they mark that.
And it's geocodes.
It's geocodes, exactly. You go through the icons, and then you get the two icons or the three icons together with a tick and a cross, and they say, yes, that's right, this is a sacred area, and they hit the tick. So we went through the bush for about 2 hours doing this, right out in the jungles. And they're going, okay, and had these guys, they wouldn't actually, we're saying, come on, let this bloke have a go at the computer. No, I'm doing the mapping here today. It was like kids with a Game Boy. They wouldn't share it because they could see the value of what it was doing for them. They were, for the first time ever, someone had asked them, well, how do you use this forest? Because we want to make sure that we don't destroy that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really valuable thing. Anyway, we're going through the forest, about 2 hours. We gathered a whole lot of data points. And we said, well, maybe we should go back to the camp and download these data points. And the guy we were with said, who was helping us with the software development, he said, hold on a minute, I got my laptop here, let's download it here. So we, in the middle of the jungle, we took out a laptop and the computer, because the pygmy guys were like, okay, this is getting really interesting. First we had a handheld computer, now we've got a laptop. And started it up, plugged it in, and of course what he'd done was he'd cached Google Earth on his computer. Now, so up came the Earth. And these pygmies are like, what's that? And these guys had no concept of the Earth. What they had concept of was bends in the rivers. They know their forest intimately, and they buy bends in the rivers. And so we had to quickly go down to the very micro level and show the bends in the rivers and the roads. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know where we are now. And then we had to pull it back out to the globe. And we had an anthropologist with us, who one of our partners, and he speaks the language, and he says there is no word for the Earth in this language because they have no concept of it. And so he's there for about half an hour. We're looking at this computer with Google Earth, and then we downloaded the points from the handheld onto the computer, and they could see, oh, that's where we marked the sacred tree, and that's where we marked the burial areas. But what's this Earth thing? And we stood there for about half an hour talking about this, and you could just see these guys going, wow, that's amazing. And here we were in the jungle, and so we went back to the camp and bid them all farewell and printed them out a map and gave it to them. And I can just only imagine the conversation that happened in that village that evening when they were talking about, well, there was this really big ball thing, but we could see the rivers, you know, when we went down. And so that was for me, that was an amazing case of where these communities had been so completely disenfranchised from having previously the bulldozers just go through the forest, cut everything down, not pay any attention to their rights. Not only are we walking through the forest with a handheld computer and letting them do the mapping themselves, saying what's important to them, and then downloading it onto a laptop computer in the middle of the jungle with Google Earth on it. And these guys were stunned. And it was just, for me, the power of the technology to change people's life in a very short frame of time. It was very amazing, very moving actually, because these pygmy guys were all gathered around this computer. It was on the stump on the forest, and got these great photos of this intense discussion about what is that ball. It's called the Earth.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. Well, my hope for the Earth is that we get all these climate issues sorted out. And you know, we work in tropical forest, and you know, we know that tropical forests store vast amounts of carbon. And countries, you know, first in the world is China, second is the US in terms of global carbon emissions. Third is Indonesia, and fourth is Brazil. Not because of their huge bustling economies, but because of the amount of forest they're cutting down and pumping carbon into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
This is a huge problem. And the sort of work that we're doing with the forests around the world in the tropics to get them sustainably managed is to try and turn that around. And sustainable management doesn't mean just, you know, cutting down the trees in the right way. It means working with the people, like the indigenous pygmy communities in Africa, and getting them a say in the management as well. So sustainable management of forest is a huge challenge, but it'll help us to keep forests in the landscape, keep carbon stored in those forests. And so I hope all this talk that's going on at the moment is, you know, does climate change exist? Is it really happening? Is all behind us. And in 10 years' time, we're all busy being much more careful about our carbon footprint, conserving forests, and working with communities, bringing technology to these people in the way that we're doing now, and that it's mainstream. It's mainstream and it's happening, and we're getting ourselves sorted out.
I think the hope is very similar, but I think it's also that tying. I think what I enjoy about TFT is the tying of, for example, the consumers here in the U.S. back to the products that's coming out of the forests, and the importance of that link between what we're doing here as consumers back to the forest, and that has impact, and that you can do, you know, that you can purchase wood in the correct way, and it can have impacts that are very positive for pygmies, or in the sense of, and other communities, or in the sense of if it's not done, you know, in positive ways, it can have such negative impacts. And I think, to me, that's what's really important. And I'm very new at TFT, and part of what attracted me to it is I was doing some work on evaluation, and it was evaluating some of this work, and interviewed an anthropologist who worked with Scott down in the Congo, and he was, you know, just basically said to him this was the greatest thing that he had seen happen to the pygmies in his many years working there, and that they really were threatened with extinction, and this was very empowering, and really gave him hope that their lifestyle and their culture could survive. And to me, that's a great thing, and really attracted me to the organization.